remember one of my sayings. Rather than I can't afford it, it's a case of how can I afford this? The portfolio landlord hack. And of course, you know what I'm going to say next? This is a real deal. Well, let me explain how the portfolio landlord hack actually works. So this is the opportunity for you to negotiate multiple deals. Now, if you're negotiating one, there's no harm in you negotiating more. Have fun with it. Because remember, the legally binding contract happens when you exchange contracts. And if you can get more than one, why not? And what usually happens is you end up getting more than one because you had a go at this. Yeah. So whether you're kind of new to this or whether you're an experienced investor, it doesn't really matter. Give yourself a chance and let's go large. It doesn't necessarily mean that you buy every property at the same time. You can stagger these. I'll show you exactly what we did, okay? So the criteria for this is that the seller has been investing for a long time and they built up a portfolio over that period of time. Secondly, they feel that legislation is making it difficult for them. There's so many people out there, right, where the renters reform bill that's come in and all the different changes that are happening, it's really scary. People are becoming fearful out there. You see, the wild west of the private renter sector has gone. And what is left is professional people like you who are still in the game. And which means there's an even bigger pool of tenants, there's an even larger demand, and there's even more motivated sellers. So you want to jump into this one. So they feel that legislation has become more difficult for them because they're used to doing things in a much easier way. They didn't have any EICRs, electrical checks. They didn't have any gas safeties to do. They could just leave the property and not refurbish it and the council wasn't going to come in and all this kind of stuff. But now it's all changed. So for these reasons, these sellers are leaving the market. Also, think of the age group. They're over the age of 55. Now there's usually a couple of things that's happened here. The person has built up a portfolio, they've been a business person, they've done it their way, and their legacy, their kids usually, end up in professional environments or doing various different types of jobs, and they don't want the portfolio anymore. Because the mistake, unfortunately, that investor made was he didn't get the kids in or the family in quick enough. So they don't value the portfolio, they don't even want the portfolio, and this senior person is left with this portfolio where no one really wants it. The second type of scenario is where the seller has got some kind of health issue, unfortunately, and the larger the health issue, the more they're realizing about, what am I going to do with all this portfolio? Because if they're not going to be around along for many more years, they want to enjoy that money, and they're thinking, well, I want to then enjoy that money on me. The other kind of scenario is they're just tired. Now, they didn't have to be tired if they got some, management in, if they learned in a better way, if they became a business owner, professionalized it. However, these people are sometimes set in their way and they've been doing it for a very long time. Hence, like what I say right at the beginning, that the seller has had the portfolio for a long time and they're not accustomed to these changes. So for this reason, they also want to sell off and just retire, and they see the whole portfolio as a problem, although it's raising equity massively over the time they've had it, and it's created such great income for them over the time they've had it. The next thing is they've accumulated properties over time. So these are landlords with properties of more than 10 properties. So you're focusing on landlords with more than 10 properties, and they could have 3 digits as well. Their properties have an extremely low loan to value, or they're unencumbered. Just like the previous scenario, they could have no mortgage on them, or at least they are much lower loan to values. The properties that they have require usually heavy refurbishment. They have damp issues, they have roof problems, the electrical safety isn't really that great, that all needs updating. So they're tired properties. So what they've done is they've banked the portfolio, they've run the portfolio, they've extracted income from it, and they haven't really put it back into the property. They haven't really thought of it as a business. Now, they don't want to do a whole renovation, they just rather sell it as it is. Like what I say, it's gone up in value anyway, and they've got very low loan to value. So remember, if somebody isn't in that criteria, not that it can't be done, it just means that there'll be more negotiation, it may or may not be a deal. When you have this criteria, then the deals become even more acceptable for them. So the process. The first thing is you show them that you're an investor and you're in the same peer group for them. There's no point going to them and saying, oh, it's my first property I'm buying, because they won't treat you seriously. Now, you could be buying your first property, that's okay. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is you want to come across as a professional. And by the information I'm sharing with you here, you will come across as a professional. So whether you've got no properties, one property, a property portfolio, it's kind of irrelevant because you're coming across professional. That's the key with this. Now, you discuss with them logically. You negotiate with logic, not the emotion. So these are savvy people. These are business people. They understand property. They'll probably be in property much more than you have in many cases. So to negotiate with them, you need to discuss this logically, and you need to negotiate with logic so it makes sense to them. Also, you want to be able to show them that you can do multiple deals. Now, remember one of my sayings, rather than I can't afford it, it's a case of how can I afford this?